I'm Harrison Graham. It is Overreaction Monday for the Chicago Bears following a 42-38 loss to the San Francisco 49ers. Want to kind of put a bow on this one before we turn the page to Detroit and obviously look ahead to the playoffs. All right, some storylines I want to dive into. Should the Bears bench Nahshon Wright for Tyrique Stevenson? I'm going to go two smoking Jays. People are talking. I think this is something that at least has to be discussed within the building. I thought Nahshon Wright had the worst game of his season. And listen, he's been an incredible story. He's been a very good player for this team. He's been healthy. He got picked apart. Targeted 7 times, 6 catches, 101 yards. Now, there's a theory out there that he got concussed in this game and was for some reason playing through it. Jalen Johnson on friendly fire cracked him pretty good. So is something there? Maybe we'll hear more about him suffering an injury. I don't know. But the bottom line is he was out there and he got cooked. And as we discussed after the game, Kyle Shanahan did a good job of forcing him to open his hips and try to cover across the field, not just vertically, because Nahshon Wright, when he's staying on the perimeter and just playing one-on-one on hitches, curls, stuff like that, he's pretty good. When you force him to consistently shift his hips, that's when he can get into trouble, and he got exposed doing that yesterday. So I thought it was one of his worst games in a while. Now, it's just one game. It's not the end of the world, but I will say the last couple of weeks, Tyrique Stevenson in a part-time role, he's played 45 snaps. He's only been targeted 3 times, given up 1 catch for 6 yards. So Nahshon Wright gives you the kind of boom-bust element. He can get takeaways. But if Tyrique's going to be more sticky in coverage, I think you at least have to consider that. I think at minimum, Week 18, you got a little opportunity here where it's not an end-all, be-all game. I would up Tyrique Stevenson's snaps this week. See what he can do on a heavier workload because obviously he's been a starter for this team for a while. He was this year. Now he's kind of a part-time player because you got 3 outside corners that you like with Jalen Johnson back in the fold and Nahshon Wright in here as well. I think it's worth just exploring a little bit in Week 18 and trying to give yourself a clearer picture heading into the playoffs on who should be your 2 primary outside corners for the postseason. Who do you guys think should play for? Type NW for Nahshon Wright, TS for Tyrique Stevenson. I'm not saying you just completely bench Wright and his season's over, but I am open to the idea of getting Tyrique Stevenson some more run moving forward. All right, are you worried about the linebacker play? I'm going to go 3 smoking Jays. I thought, and listen, grain of salt, the 49ers attacked the middle of the field really well. Brock Purdy is one of the best when it comes to layering passes. All that is fair, but they were also bad against the run. And I'm talking about TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmunds. Now, I'm focusing just on the overall and coverage grades here. They got picked apart in coverage. But Christian McCaffrey also ran for 140 yards. Now, it got better in the second half. 118 of those were in the first half. But Tremaine Edmunds only been back 2 games, so I'm willing to see more, obviously. He's making his way back. But he looks like a shell of himself compared to the player we saw before the injury. And TJ Edwards has kind of had this up and down season, had been playing pretty well. I thought didn't play well at all. Obviously, Jalen Johnson makes the great play to deflect the opening pass. He's able to squeeze it and run it back for a touchdown. He gets credit for that. But after that, I don't think he made a single notable play the entire night. These 2 linebackers are making a lot of money. Like they're making $28 million per year combined. So you need them to play better than they did in this football game. And coming up, I got a pretty alarming stat that kind of outlines just how poorly they played. And if they don't play better, I think teams could have a bit of a blueprint on how to attack those 2 players in the passing game. So stay tuned for that. But first, got to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor. That is PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard, but in life and on PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, and PrizePicks lets you take control. New feature alert, PrizePicks now has early payouts. They were trying to get me to do an early payout yesterday, but I held firm and won my lineup. But there are times where you get off to a hot start and you say, hey, I'm going to cash out right now. So there are opportunities with PrizePicks to do that when your lineups get off to a good start. What does the lineup look like? Well, it's pretty simple. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player lineups, regardless of sport. And if you hit, you win money. little 3-player lineup I've got coming up right here on Monday. Blake Corum, I like him to find the end zone. He's been hot recently. That's a demon play. Kyle Pitts, I like the more on his receiving yards as well. And then Matt Stafford, -0.5 rushing yard, goblin play. Just don't take a QB knee at the end. I'll be good. $20 to win. I think it's 95 on this one. I'll double check. But a good opportunity right there either way. You can follow me at HGramNFL in the feed tab, and you can see exactly what that pays out. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. Okay, let's get back to that alarming stat. Tremaine Edmunds and TJ Edwards, and now a little bit of this can be subjective, zone coverage, all that stuff, but per PFF, they were targeted 11 times combined, gave up 11 catches for 129 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tremaine Edmunds, 7 of those receptions allowed for 2 touchdowns. That is brutal. You don't make a single play? Not one. Because remember, you're probably saying, well, what about the interception for Edwards? No, Jalen Johnson made that play. He jumped that route, deflected the ball, and then Edwards, to his credit, finished it and ran it into the end zone. They picked him apart. And again, Shanahan's really good at that. He's got the quarterback who can layer those passes in the intermediate area. I'm not saying it's easy. You got to make a play every once in a while. You just do. Otherwise, you give up 42 points. You need to play better. I thought both linebackers felt slow, sluggish. And remember, the Bears had the longer rest period. They had 2 days extra than the 49ers. I know some guys on the team were sick and stuff, but I don't think either TJ or Tremaine were. So I was pretty disappointed in how they played in that game. And I was also disappointed, and I know early in the week Jackson was dealing with the illness, but he traveled. He played on special teams. 0 defensive snaps for DeMarco Jackson. Noah Sewell played a couple snaps, and he got hurt. He tore the Achilles, which sucks, obviously, and wish him well in the recovery. But DeMarco Jackson a few weeks ago was NFC Defensive Player of the Week. I'm not saying he's better than Tremaine Edmunds. I don't think that. I'm not saying he's better than TJ Edwards. But maybe he's deserving of a role? I mean, this team, isn't it all about, like, hey, you got to earn what your playing time is? I feel like DeMarco Jackson's earned a little something. So kind of like the Tyrique Stevenson thing, I would get DeMarco on the field in Week 18. Stagger some snaps. If nothing else, you'd be like, hey, we don't want to run TJ and Tremaine into the ground heading into the playoffs. They both dealt with, nicks and bumps and injuries this year. Get DeMarco Jackson out there. Play him 25, 30 snaps. See how he plays. Gives you another option, if nothing else, especially in coverage where I think he actually could be a plus there. Okay, do the Bears have a Super Bowl offense? I won't go quite for Smoking Jays, although Dan Orlovsky made some comments earlier today. Maybe I'll dive into them on a video later this week. But I will go 3. Pretty likely that this is a really good offense. The Bears are really, really good offensively. They're 10th in scoring. They're 3rd in total yards, 11th in passing, which has been ticking up, 3rd in rushing, which since the bye week they lead the NFL in. And they only have 10 turnovers, which leads the NFL. I mean, it's not only are they explosive and move the ball consistently, they do so without putting the ball in harm's way very often, which is a very, very lethal combination. They're middle of the pack in red zone, but remember, for about 6 weeks, they really struggled in finishing drives, so that's been trending up as well. 6th and 3rd down this year at over 43%. It's a really good offense. They're top 10 in most major categories, and I can't remember if they're 1st or 2nd in explosives. I haven't tallied this week's number. I think they were either 1st or like 1 or 2 plays behind the Bills heading this week. That's 10-plus yard runs, 20-plus yard passes. I'm guessing either way, they're probably 1st now because the Bills really struggled this week, and the Bears generated several explosives. But the point is this offense is really dynamic. And if it's not quite Super Bowl level, it's clearly high-level playoff offense, and that's – for one, it's just exciting because historically, even the really good Bears teams are defensive teams. This team is not. They are much better on offense than they are on defense. Bill Zimmerman had a good stat on Caleb Williams last night on throws of 20 yards or more. 5 for 5, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, perfect passer rating. Who says he can't throw the deep ball? That's been a major improvement from him this year. Had a couple of big-time throws in that game last night. And so I say all this, and I just ask the question, can the defense just be average? I'm not expecting a top 10 group. I'm not expecting it. but you got to get off the field on third down more often, and you're going to have to continue to create takeaways. If you don't do those things, it's going to be tough because clearly teams can move the ball on this defense. The defensive line is a negative. But even the back seven, which is supposed to be the strength of this group, it's been a little hit and miss recently. Like, you need the linebackers to play better. You need to be better in the secondary. And we'll find out. Clock's ticking. You got one game in the playoffs. I'll say this. You're playing a pretty potent offense this week, so we'll see how they handle Detroit here on Sunday. What is your concern level with the Bears defense? Scale of 1 to 10. I mean, it's got to be like an 8, right? Now, I'm not freaking out about it because it kind of just is what it is, but I still think they can play better because we've seen it this year. They have had stretches where they've played pretty well, but I'm asking for average. Give me average, and the Bears are going to have chances in a lot of games because they are very good offensively. All right, that's going to do it for Overreaction Monday here on Chicago Bears Now. One game to go, and then it's playoff time. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. We will continue to pump out Bears content for free here on a daily basis.